Oh my god, what a day. Russia lost 2 of the ships as it is claimed by Ukrainian side. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Indeed, yesterday there was the strike of Ukrainian drones on Sevastopol. Also ATACMS were used for this purpose. Immediately after the strike I started to receive the information that maybe some of the Russian ships were targeted. At the same time Russia reported that they intercepted everything and there is no any damage to any sort of the infrastructure. Well, ships are not infrastructure after all. So this afternoon the information was published that the Russian Zircon ship, it's one of the newest Russian ships, was targeted by the drone or by the missile. And before those news we have received the information that the Russian naval minesweeper 266M Kovarovets was also targeted. This is the much older ship but anyways actively used by the Russian Navy. The Russian Zircon ship was made in 2023 and it is able to carry the hypersonic missiles. The missiles are located in the forward part, there are several of the compartments for those. However, in all of this big story about the Russian ships being targeted, we have one big but. There is basically no video, photo or satellite image evidence. What we have are just the statements from Ukrainian side. It's really hard to prove this information, at least for this period of time. I'm still waiting for at least satellite images to confirm it. Well, indeed, it is a very fat target for Ukraine. If it is confirmed, I'm gonna tell you more about this ship. Guys, something is really going on with my channel. Some of my videos were restricted recently. That's why I encourage you to support me on the other platforms, like for example Patreon. If you want to support the job that I do daily, you may check out the link for my Patreon team in the video description just below. Obviously, if you want to support my job, thank you so much for it. The second biggest news for today that there was a helicopter crash with Iranian President Raisi. He flew near Azerbaijani border on the helicopter Mi-171. It's the Russian-made helicopter, the modification of the Mi-8. By the way, those are quite reliable with Ukrainian engines installed, usually. But if you check out this video of some of the vehicles of the search and rescue team, you may understand why the aviation accident happened to that particular helicopter. Yeah, it's damn foggy. The visibility, I would say, is less than 50 meters. Yeah, definitely, you can barely see those cars and they're quite close. Absolutely terrible conditions to perform any sort of the aviation activity. Nevertheless, they did it. They flew the helicopter with the president because president said that he needed to fly. I'm sure about it. Till this moment, the search and rescue crew is unable to find Raisi. Also, 3 of the men from the rescue team got lost as well. There were some of the reports that the helicopter was found, that they were able to call to someone from the helicopter, but all of that information is unconfirmed. They're already searching for the helicopter for more than 8 hours. Iranian president visited Azerbaijan this morning and after his visit, he returned back to Iran. The aviation accident happened somewhere near Tabriz, close to Azerbaijani border. By the way, as you can see, Turkey launched their UAV Akinci, trying to find the Iranian president as well. Probably it's the first real operation of the drone in that environment. It is equipped with thermal cameras that might help to find the helicopter and some of the people if they're still warm. According to the latest reports from some of the independent Iranian media sources, which are located outside Iran, well, they claim that president has already been cooled down to outside temperature, so it will be very hard to find him. So that's the Turkish drone that was sent. Ukraine is also waiting for those drones to appear in its army. Ukraine placed the order for those for the Turkish company Baykar. Here's one more video of the Iranian search and rescue team trying to find the helicopter. I would say that it's almost impossible if the emergency locator transmitter doesn't work in that helicopter. So it's very hard to find it. Here's one more picture of Iranian president with the helicopter. So he really liked to fly those in Iran and outside Iran because those are very useful. You can land them everywhere, so it's very convenient. Also, the Minister of the Internal Affairs reportedly was on board of that helicopter too. The pro-Russian bloggers immediately say that Western intelligence is responsible for this act, for this crash. But for me, as for the pilot, everything is understandable. Then I watched those videos. The visibility Well, there is no visibility, I would say. It's very easy to lose yourself in that fog, not even speaking about performing some sort of the flights on helicopter or any kind of the other aircraft. Also, Iran is not a flat country. They have lots of the hills and huge mountains. So never ever I would fly in those conditions. But you know, pilots, I think, were forced to fly because after all, Iranian president is a known dictator. So he ordered to fly and they flown. So at this moment, we are still waiting for any sort of the confirmation about the helicopter debris or maybe about Iranian officials. But I think that the chances for survival in that kind of the aviation accident somewhere in the mountains during the night time are very and very low, especially for the guys who didn't pass any sort of the trainings for survival. By the way, this video is claimed to be the last one of Ruzzia filmed on the board of the particular helicopter. As you can see, there are even some of the snow downstairs, but the elevation is quite high. We don't know yet the elevation of the place where helicopter had crashed. Well, Turkey also sent its helicopter for the search and rescue operations, but the helicopter is unable to fly at that specific area because of the poor visibility. With the drone, it's much easier to do because they have thermal cameras, night vision cameras, and all the tools necessary to fly in all weather conditions. By the way, Russia also sent 50 of the rescue team workers to help Iranian side on the crash scene, but where is the crash scene? No one knows yet. The media sources report about the rough landing of the helicopter, not the aviation accident, but the rough landing. 366 on the ground news. It's the first time I see this figure. Actually, it's very, very popular now. But after all, the main figure in Iran is not the president, but Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He is a spiritual leader of Iran and he takes the most decisions in the country. For example, as it was published by Financial Times, Khamenei was responsible for the decision to strike Israel with 300 of the drones. For this reason, I don't think that the accident with the president may change something in Iran. However, Khamenei is 85 years old, so President Raisi was a possible successor for Khamenei's position. Now, probably not any longer. At the same time, if the passengers of the flight are really cold now, it is also not profitable for Iran because, as I said to you, there was also the Minister of the Internal Affairs on board. His name is Hossein Amir Abdullahian, and he was really a professional guy. So together with the president, obviously it's a great loss but not catastrophic for Iran. The regime is very strong even with this possible loss. At the same time, some of the people of Iran start to celebrate with fireworks. As you can see, it's already a night time in Iran and search and rescue team is working hard. By the way, look at this guy. Seriously guys, Russian propaganda will tell it. And we have this video from the search and rescue team. As you can see, there is precipitation, so water is kind of cold, and they use GPS to find the the helicopter. So what they have is some sort of the track and the elevation. The elevation is crazy, 2,140 meters. And there's their current elevation, 2160, it's crazy. It's roughly 7,100 feet, so quite a lot. And obviously with this elevation there are lots of the mountains, and yes, it's not safe to fly in those conditions, those foggy conditions, on helicopter or basically anything. And here's the distance from their current position to the pointer, which they show. And they want to reach the crash site, but they're not sure where it is. Darkness, precipitation, no any signal from helicopter. It is easier to find a needle in a haystack than this helicopter in Iranian mountains. Again, in those conditions. Yet the Washington Post has already published a tribute article for the Iranian president, key moments in the life and presidency of Iran's Ebrahim Raisi. Yeah, probably it's over for him. He has very low chances for survival after the crash itself and during this night for sure, if he survived the impact. By the way, the similar aviation accident happened in Ukraine, also with the Ukrainian Internal Affairs Minister. A foggy morning, the helicopter pilots were ordered to fly somewhere and they hit the building. Official reports confirm that it was the pilot's mistake. I think that the same happened with Iranian helicopter today. One more video from the search and rescue team. No guys, you cannot find anything in those terrible weather conditions. You can barely see those men walking, wearing those visibility stripes. Without those, it's absolutely impossible to spot even those people around. With the flashlights, it is only helping source for them to find each other and the way around. What they do is just hiking around. I'm sure that they'll not find the helicopter during this night. If the fog stays there for a couple of more days, it's better to just shut down the search and rescue operation because it will be just useless. The only chance for Iranian president are the Turkish drones. That's it. Also guys, we have quite a unique footage published. This is the Akinci drone camera. You may see everything around. It flies on a very high altitude as for me, but still able to spot the clouds below. That's it. It's unable to use its thermal camera, I guess also because of the thick clouds. So if you put those coordinates in a Google Maps, you'll find out the position of the drone. Here we go, north of Iran, close to Tabriz city, and here's the mountain line. Yeah, lots of the mountains in this area, a perfect obstacle for any sort of the aircraft which flies from Azerbaijan to Iran. The area is quite wild. There are almost no roads and just occasional settlements, like for example this one, which is really small. So yeah, good luck finding the guy. Guys, 106,000 people are watching Flight Radar 24 right now, following the Akinci drone trajectory. It's crazy. If I had the video from the camera live, I would stream that event for sure. Right now, let's go for some of the front lines updates. Indeed, we have the confirmation that the Russians went and took control over the part of Robotyne, but not occupying it fully. Also, they moved near Verbova, plus over here as well. Robotyne is still a major hotspot in this area. If Ukraine loses control over this small settlement, Russia would obviously propel with higher pace. Even though Russians reported that Robotyne was occupied several days ago, but it's not true, as Robotyne is still under Ukrainian control, at least partially. But what's about Kharkiv region? Well, Russia propelled there as well, so it was yesterday, it is today. They moved towards Lipsy, occupying this forest line, and they crossed the border in this area all across the river, so over here. On the eastern side, they occupied this part of the forest. The city of Vovchansk is stable for the second consecutive day. However, if we check out Maiko73's source, he stated that Russia propelled there, taking some of the streets of the settlement. The battle in the place is very intense. I have the confirmation from our warriors that definitely enemy moved a little in Vovchansk today. We just haven't received the latest update from the Deep State military map source, but other data shows us that definitely Russia moved more. For today, they moved for around 1 mile. One of the enemy groups had reached the bridge across the Vovcha river but was eliminated. So still Russians are unable to cross this river. On the northern part of the city, Russians started to lose households of the people, of civilians who left the place. It is a usual thing for the Russian army. They take everything from Ukrainian homes and send it to Russia. I even have the drone video evidence of that, but I'm unable to publish it on YouTube platform, so for it, please check out my Telegram channel. You may find it as usual in the video description just below. The Ukrainian officials continue to say that the situation is controllable. Occupiers are unable to reach their tasks. Well, I would agree with Zelensky in this statement. We already see that the advancement of the Russian army slowed down for the last few days. But it doesn't mean that they do not have the potential to reinforce this attacking group and breathe the new era into this offensive. The situation is very, very difficult for Ukraine. An interesting statement from the Russian so-called opposition from Khodorkovsky, who was previously jailed by Putin and his regime, but later on was released. So he says that we have particularly lost the war in Ukraine. He operates with figures of GDP, and how many resources does every side has. He says that Russia is stronger, Russia is producing more weaponry, it has many more of the potential army men, so Russia has more chances to win in this war, and he encourages our allies to help Ukraine more. Obviously, it's a good thing. He says that Western countries give up the support for Ukraine, they want to betray Ukraine, but in the future it will lead to the full occupation of the country, and the joint Ukrainian-Russian army will be at the border with NATO countries. Well, the part of those statements are actually truthful, but the major part that Ukraine is doomed and we have particularly lost the war in Ukraine is not. Why? Well, according to his logic with all of those numbers, United States should have won the war in Vietnam, Soviet Union should have won the war in Afghanistan, and so on and so on. If you have more weaponry, more army men, if your economy is much better than your competitor, it doesn't mean that you'll win. Yeah, resources play a great role, but not always. It also depends on determination of the people, on their identity, whether they want to be occupied, let's say it openly, or not. If there is even a partisan resistance with a simple Kalashnikovs, if they're against the occupation army, aggressor, so Russia in this case, is really out of tools, and it doesn't matter if they have nukes or not. They wouldn't cope with that resistance, it's just not possible. Because of this simple thing, Russia is unable to win in this war. But the war itself may continue for quite a long time. And now, my friends, don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as always, I wish you a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.